Hiya, I'm just getting ready to go to America on the pre-season tour. I think I've done every tour since 91, watched United pre-season. So looking forward to this one as ever. I didn't go to the Euros because I'm flat out working on that. That's my new book. That comes out on November the 7th. So I've just been really busy. But I've got some great interviews with some really big name players. I went to Norway. I didn't go to Edinburgh, and I'll do all the American tour, and then back for back to the games, Community Shield. Then the season starts, doesn't it? So Rangers, again, second season that Manchester United have played at Murrayfield, the rugby ground in Edinburgh, another 50,000 plus crowd. I had a chance for a lot of younger players to impress Erik Ten Hag, not just in the game, but to get on the American tour. Loads of them are uncertain about the future, so it's a good opportunity against decent opponents. The good news is there was no injuries, and it was a Manchester United win, first one of the season, because Trondheim was really poor. And the players have had more time together training this week because they only had a few days before the game in Norway. Two very good goals for Manchester United in a 2-0 win. Clean sheet. The team were much more on the front foot than they had been in Norway. So I'll sort of do ratings. There's a lot of players to go through, so I'll have to be really quick on it. Anana, easy early save from the well-positioned right. His short passes were accurate. Some of his longer kicks were a bit wayward. United had 73% of possession. Anana was the only non-academy player on the pitch in the second half, and was barely tested throughout. 7, he didn't do a lot wrong at all. Murray looked pretty much at ease. Good test for him. 7. Johnny Evans, Yoro. Now this is interesting because he'd only had one training session with the players after signing from Lille, and I thought he did well. I thought he did. He's 18 years old, and he made a pretty confident debut. Showed his vision. There's a long ball to Sancho after 8 minutes. There was a mistake, and I've been speaking to scouts in France who work for Premier League and Spanish football clubs, getting some real good background on him. But there was some miscommunication, which meant that his ball set up a Rangers chance after 37. But he did get back to recover. Overall, I was impressed by him, and the feedback I'm getting from France is good. There are some reservations because there's still mistakes in him, but overall, very good. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, 6, got forward. Rangers were a bigger threat down the other side, I think. Collier, I thought he did well, covered well. Made 2 good impressions, really. He was one of the best players in Trondheim, where he was captain, and also did well in midfield in Edinburgh. So he would hope to travel on the US tour for the games against Arsenal in LA on Saturday. Then it's Real Betis in San Diego, and then Liverpool in South Carolina. Casemiro, captain, first half. He headed wide after 8 minutes. He had a shot deflected on 34. Really interesting what's going to happen with him, because he earns far too much money and far more than what he was worth last season, but then the season before he was excellent. I'd love to see him return and play well. Equally, I wouldn't be surprised if he was sold, but then who's going to pay that sort of wages for him? So bring us the Casemiro of 22-23. Jadon Sancho. I said last year on a podcast on the Talk of the Devils, I felt he would play for Manchester United again. And that raised eyebrows. But he played for him. It was definitely him in Edinburgh. He shot well over on 44. A few little flicks. The news with him, he was all right. He looks pretty bright. He looked fit. That he's playing for United again. If there can be a happy resolution to him, and it can come even partway to justifying the optimism around when he signed from Dortmund, then we're away. But we're also a long way from that point. Mason Mount, yeah, I'm liking him. A couple of well-weighted passes. He got absolutely throttled in the first half. but then he drove forward and set up Amad's opener, gave the ball to him at least. So 7 for Mount. Amad was the best player by distance, actually. 2-footed on form, made a really good run towards goal after 17 minutes and pulled the ball back to Ethan Wheatley. He put United ahead. He whipped the ball in after 39 minutes. The left back had a pretty awful time for Rangers. Amad was at Rangers, actually. He had a pretty awful time when he went on loan there. And Rangers, I think, would admit that they could have handled him better. Well, I know for a fact they would admit that. Erik ten Hag said, "We have to see Amad in a different way. He's not inexperienced anymore. At the end of last season, he had a very good time in the first team. This has to be the year." I think that's fair. And I think a lot of United fans would like to see him do well. And a lot of Sunderland fans as well, because he was excellent there. So Amad gets a top mark of an 8. Ethan Wheatley was set up by Amad after 17. Poor finish, which was cleared off the line, but he did link up the play well. And then in the second half, as in Trondheim, there were 10 changes. So Onana stayed on. Abibo Gunyeni, 6. He replaced Aaron Wan-Bissaka, defended well. Oyedele was really good in setting up the second goal. He kept the ball, ran forward and set up Hugill. One of the best move of the second half by a mile. So he gets a 7. Harry Amass, 6. Some pretty neat footwork. I thought he was better than he played in Norway. Will Fish. I've done a little interview with Will Fish. It's on the United We Stand podcast, which I'll put out later on today. I spoke to him last week. I thought he was one of the best players in Trondheim. I said that, and I thought he did really well. I wouldn't expect him to be at United this season. I'd expect him to be sold or to go out on loan. But he blocked Matodo after 58, and yeah, I'm liking the look of him. I realise that the attention's not going to be around him because another central defender's been signed, but I was pretty impressed when I spoke to him as well. He's got his head together. He's a Manchester lad, done well at Hibs last season, so would be a good signing for somebody, maybe in the Championship. Bennett was decent alongside Will Fish, and that was against an experienced Rangers attack. Jack Fletcher, lovely movement, just looks like his dad. And back in his dad's home city, not his home city, because he would have been born in Manchester. Yeah, that's accurate, isn't it? But yeah, Darren was from Edinburgh originally, 7. Hannibal, he came on for Amad, quite interesting because he went to Sevilla last year. Didn't work out at all. He barely played. So he would have been the most senior player in the second half in Edinburgh. And I just don't know where his future is. If someone comes in for him, I'm sure he would leave. But there is a player there, but maybe he damaged his prospects at United by being overly aggressive when he came on in games last season. Sam Mather struggled to get in the game, came on for Jadon Sancho, 5. Hannibal was a 6. Ennis, 5. Made a couple of strong tackles. Joe Hugill, 7. His goal was a cracker because he wasn't really involved, but he accelerated and ran onto that ball from Oyedele, and his shot crashed in off the crossbar after 69. So that made it 2-0 for United. There was good United support there. United are well supported in Scotland, but a lot of people went up for the day from Manchester as well, because Edinburgh's a top city to go to, just as Glasgow was when Manchester United played there in those Champions League games. Against Rangers and Celtic. Wow, we miss them, don't we? Atmosphere was amazing for those matches. So I'll come back. LA, yeah, be jet lagged in LA next time I do some match ratings. But interesting week for Manchester United with 2 new signings. Mason Greenwood leaving as well. So Ineos are acting pretty decisively at the moment. That is pleasing fans. Some fans are getting completely carried away. We're still in July. The season's not started yet. And I can remember the summer of 2016 when fans also got completely carried away. And 3 months later, the team were 8th in the league. Anyway, not one to spoil optimism. As an optimist, I hope that the players have a really good week in training this week. Then they'll spend the full day flying to Los Angeles, and I'll join you from there. Until next time. Oh, I'll take some of these United We Stands to America as well. So if you want one, let me know. I can't take too many over, but we'll take some of the summer issues over. Bye-bye.